Presidential elections in Chile elect the chief of the state, that is the president, and governs for a period of 4 years. The president can be re-elected, however, not consecutively. The president is directly elected nationwide by the absolute majority of the valid votes. The absolute majority is a voting basis that requires the vote of more than the half of all the members. If no candidate obtains the majority, a runoff election is held between the two top vote getters. Each legal political party of the country may register one of its members as candidate. Independent candidates are required to gain the support of a number of independent electors prior to registering the candidacy. The number of signatures needed for the independent candidates is equal to at least 0.5% of the number of people who last vote in the Chamber of Deputies election. According to the Constitution, presidential elections take place on the first Sunday of November of the year before the current president's term expires.
Primaries. The notion of legal primaries reflects the will of political parties to select one candidate that represents the interests of a coalition. During June the 30th of 2013, the first presidential primary were held in Chilean territory. Regarding Chilean primaries, political parties are able to choose whether to allow independent electors or electors affiliated with other political parties. Nevertheless, voters shall support only one coalition candidate. Primary results are legally binding. Candidates that lose in this election are ineligible for the presidential balloting, unless the winning candidate dies or resigns before election itself. Chilean presidential primaries were divided into two coalitions. Firstly, alliance candidates that represent conservative parties, Renovación Nacional and Unión Demócrata Independiente, which are currently part of the present government. And secondly, New Majority, a coalition that gathers the political center, Democracia Cristiana, left-wing parties, Partido Radical and Partido Socialista, and additionally they included an independent candidate. Alliance candidates were Andrés Alemán, a former Minister of Defense, and Pablo Longueira, a former Minister of Economy. In a far tighter competition, the Unión Demócrata Independiente, the representative, won by a margin of less than 3% against the Renovación Nacional candidate. New majority candidates were Andrés Velasco, a former finance minister, Claudio Rego, a well-known mayor of Peña, an administrative division in Santiago, José Antonio Gómez, a former senator, and Michelle Bachelet, who was President of Chile from 2006 and 2010. With a 73.5% of the votes, she resulted new majority presidential candidate.
The candidates for the 2013 presidential elections are 9 in total. Following the order in the ballot, Chileans have the following options. First, we have Franco Parisi, an economist and university teacher. He proposes a welfare state that includes raising the minimum salary, and his political tendency is right-wing. Number 2 is Marcel Claude, who is also an economist and university professor. He proposes to create a new constitution in which human rights, as education, are guaranteed by the state. He belongs to left-wing tendency, the movement Everyone to La Moneda, Humanist Party, and United Left. Number 3 is Ricardo Israel, who proposes the regionalization of the country giving them autonomy and independence to be self-sufficient. He has a centrist tendency and represents the regionalist party of the independents. Number 4 is Marco Enriquez Ominami, former candidate in 2009. He also proposes a new constitution that includes homosexual marriage and legalization of marijuana. He represents the Progressive and Liberal Party from left-wing tendency. Number 5 is Roxana Miranda, former leader of ANDA Chile, a group representing mortgage borrower. She proposes a people-made constitution and the abolition of the terrorist law against Mapuches. She represents the Equality Party from left-wing tendency. Number 6 is Michelle Bachelet, former president of Chile. She represents more than 7 parties conglomerated under the name New Majority. From center-left tendency, she has promised free education and a tax reform. Number 7 is Evelyn Matei, who represents the alliance made up of 2 right parties. She proposes to finish the for-profit education and to bring more police to the streets. Number 8 is Alfredo Sfer, from the Green Equalities Party, who proposes an education reform that promotes to see spiritual more than economic benefit. He is an economist and a spiritual leader with left tendency. Finally, we have Thomas Jocelyn Holt, whose tendency is centrist. He proposes a tax reform and a transformation of the political phases by promoting young and new people in cabinet and political in general. And who are the electors? First, the first presidential election in which this is the first presidential election in which there is an automatic inscription and voluntary voting. That is to say, all adults above 18 years old that are less than 500 kilometers away from their polling station in the national territory can vote. No international vote in embassies is allowed officially. However, for the first time, all Chileans in other countries can vote symbolically in their respective embassies.
Now I'll tell you how we vote in Chile. All elections in Chile take place in person. First of all, one has to go to the polling station where one is registered. In most of the cases, you register near your official address. The polling stations are mixed sex and take place generally in schools or sports centers. Each polling station will have several electoral tables that will be in charge of randomly selected people called council members. Once you arrive to the polling station, you must show your ID in order to verify you're registered in that particular polling place. Then you must sign the registration book. After that, you're given the ballot, which contains the names of the candidates along with the party affiliation. Besides the ballot, you're given a graphite pencil. After that, as the vote is secret, you must enter a voting booth where you can mark your choice by a vertical line over the horizontal line next to the name of the candidate you've chosen. Any other drawing or mark could nullify the vote. A blank vote is a vote in which no candidate has been selected. Finally, after you've made your choice, you must fold the ballot and, as previously indicated by the council members, and you have to leave the voting booth, and finally you have to cast your vote inside the appropriate ballot box. This whole process is supervised by the Electoral Service, Survey, which is independent from the government. It is important to mention too that this system of voting is in person, is opposed to the electronic vote as in the US, that provides a better accessibility and higher speed in the counting of ballots. Still, the Chilean way might be said to be more difficult, the electoral fraud. That's all. Thank you very much. I hope you like it.